Think you know the Brooks Ghost? Think again. Introducing the all-new, better-than-ever Ghost 16. Now with nitrogen-infused cushioning for lightweight, supreme softness that feels good every step, every street, every single day. So go ahead, take your daily joyride in the all-new nitrogen-infused Ghost 16. It'll turn your everyday miles into everyday endorphins. Let's run there. Head to brooksrunning.com to learn more.
The thing that I fought tooth and nail to bring my son into is Dungeons and Dragons. That is the ultimate solution to parenthood.
I'm Alexis Ohanian. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. I talked to Rainn Wilson. I wanted to learn more about Rainn's advice to play D&D with your kids. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm James Caan. I wrote the novels of Return of the Jedi, Poltergeist, Indiana Jones, and the Temple of Doom.
Hey, I'm UFC strawweight Rana Marcos.
Hey, it's Tyler from Theory of a Dead Man.
Hey, I'm Tim Coates. Hi, this is Scott Coker, president of Bellator MMA.
Hey guys, I'm Canadian Olympian Lauren Supplement.
Hey guys, this is Mia Kang, Sports Illustrated swimsuit model and Muay Thai fighter.
Hey everybody, what's happening? This is Zach Wild from Black Label Society.
Hey everybody, this is Devin Townsend, and you're listening to the Toddcast Podcast. Enjoy.
The Toddcast Podcast is powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Imagine being strapped into a race car, 400, 500 horsepower, and what that does to your body. If you've even sat in an idling race car, how that engine roars to life, pressing on the gas pedal, your adrenaline, it immediately starts to flow. Drive the car, and suddenly your body becomes very aware of what's happening. You're hyper-focused, your heartbeat starts to quicken, surrounded by a bunch of people that want to beat you. Speed, timing, they become factors. The turns, the accelerations, the G-forces that are ripping through your body. You're making damn near split-second decisions, muscles tense. And I've talked to enough racers over the years, and they say that you almost become part of the car. And this week, model and race car driver Kristen Strout is a guest.
I feel like too, like racing is the only time my brain like shuts up or only it's weird. Like I'm so ADD and my brain's like all over the place, or even if I'm doing something, I'm thinking about something else, whatever. But on the racetrack, I'm just like on the racetrack. I'm there. And I almost feel just like in the zone. I don't have to like overthink, and I don't know. It's just a cool like Zen almost feeling. In the beginning, it was more of like like kind of scary, nervous. But then once I got like the jitters like out, then it was just like oh my gosh, like it was just like almost just like a peaceful like Zen like feeling. But yeah.
Joining the Zen master, race car driver Kristen Strout, is health and wellness expert Erin Ashlie.
Right, so we have the product lines. We have 13 SKUs. We have 2 more launching next month. I'm sold in about 500 retailers across Canada. So like Whole Foods, Nature's Fair, all those guys. And then we also branched into the States. So I'm launching my 5th SKU on Amazon.com. And right now I just finished the TradeX, the Vancouver Board of Trade TradeX course, because I'm already on Amazon down there, but you're just a blip in a sea of unregulated supplements, which is such a joke. Because their supplements are not regulated at all. Like I've always tell people, like I would not buy American supplements. You couldn't pay me to take an American supplement because you have no idea what's in it. Oh yeah, it's not. Canada is where you want to buy your supplements. That's where the regulation is.
Not bad. A model, race car driver, a health expert, and you'll hear from this week's musical guest in just a second. He, in fact, is one of the singers on Mick Mars's upcoming new solo album. My name is Todd Hancock. Appreciate you being there. Coming up shortly in Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, a former WWE tag team, the Bollywood Boys, talk about the Hart family and the importance that they have on their careers. That is powered by 3-year sponsor, FKP MMA. Learn self-defense, build your self-esteem, have confidence that you can take care of yourself should you need to, and get fit doing it as well. My youngest, Levi, is into his 3rd year, loves going. Vancouver's #1 training destination by a landslide. Check them out through fkpmma.com. First, our first guest of 3, this week's musical guest. As mentioned, Mick Mars's new solo album has 3 singers, and Brion Gamboa is one of them. It's brought to you by the Hawkins Sound Ranch. Over 20 years experience. Use their state-of-the-art studio. Get commercial sound on an indie budget. Sounds pretty good, right? Check them out through the HawkinsSoundRanch.com. So beyond being part of Mick Mars's new solo album, if you're thinking, Brion Gamboa, like, why do I know that name? It might be because he got his first taste of stardom, of fame, playing in a band called Third Mist. He was the lead guitarist and singer in that band, and they were semi-finalists on Star Search, if you remember that show back in the mid-90s. Brion said that music has kind of always driven him.
Man, you know, it's funny. I wouldn't say I was good, but I literally, my parents have pictures of me and playing drums, or we would make little drum sets when I was 3 years old. And by the end of 5th grade, I'll never forget that. The end of 5th grade, we had kind of modified my dad's drum set. He was a drummer in the 60s. And we'd modified his drum set, and I played a talent show. And I did a Hawaii 5-0. Which, you know, it's got all those big fills. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that, you know, there's like 16 seconds on the
syncopated beats off the top there. Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad brought his drum set into my elementary, right? It was they assemble everybody into the gym area or whatever.
Awesome.
And he brought some big speakers, and I played that song, like pretty much note for note. You know, that's so right. What am I, 5th grade? So like, I don't know, it's like 5, 6 maybe at that point.
Yeah.
So I knew music, I would just listen to things. I'm a real visual guy, and music in general has always just painted a picture for me instantly.
Yeah.
I hear it.
Driven my life since like, little kid, you know?
Oh man, it's been my savior, really. I don't, it kept me out of a lot of trouble at times. Not saying I didn't get in some trouble, right. Early on.
Like, kept you out of some trouble.
Some, but nothing bad. And it really, because it was so important to me to figure out how to make it, and, I knew, it's funny. I knew early on I wanted to write and compose, and I wanted to play everything. I'm so fascinated by everything. Like I play keys, and I've played keys in bands, but I would never call myself a pianist. I have dear friends that are amazing keyboard piano players, right? They can do all the ragtime stuff, and they can their hands just float. It looks effortless to them. Mm-hmm. And I fake it really, really well. So, I can part play. I can learn a song, practice it, rehearse it, and then play the part.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me to ad lib and just start going off on a scale on that thing, no way. Right. On a guitar, yes, but not on a keyboard. But I'm still working on it, man. I work on it all the time. But I'm just fascinated by instruments, and I'm fascinated by the process of getting that thing in your head, mm-hmm. and then trying to figure out
how to
bring it together. To in the end result have what you were hoping for, and a listenable kind of archival piece that you can put a stamp on and see, yeah, there it is. So that it's always fascinated me. Yeah.
I think that's the common thread with most of our musical guests over the years. Music has always been a part of their lives, always kind of driven them in some regard. And we talked with Brion for, I think, close to an hour. You can hear it right now on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Megaphone. If you're more into the watching interviews, we can check it out through our YouTube channel as well. Everything online is, of course, at Toddcast Podcast. An interesting thing about Brion, by the way, which we didn't talk about in the interview, is that he once produced this big charity concert that was sponsored by MTV, and he wrote the theme song, We Have the Voice, and then that was played in high schools across the U.S., which is very cool. He has his own home studio where he works as a producer and an engineer. He does a lot of session work there as well. And cool to hear Brion talking about the bands that he was influenced by as a teen and growing up, like Kiss and Sammy Hagar. He talked about being part of the glam rock scene back in the 80s, binge watching Curse of Oak Island. I told him he should check out Graham Hancock on Joe Rogan's podcast. Some interesting stuff going on there. And Brion talked about seeing Neil Diamond in concert.
Oh, man. Okay, this is going to crack you up, but you know what? I got only good things to say. So my first real concert, rock concert, if you want to call it that, right?
Yeah.
Got a pretty big venue. My parents took me. I think I was only about, I had to have been under 7, 8. I remember I was little. I remember that. Definitely young elementary school.
Yeah.
And my family went, or at least a lot of my family went with our neighbors, I think, and they took me to Neil Diamond.
No way. Wow.
Dude, it was awesome.
And an art, yeah, of course, that would be like a mind blower, and he's an artist that you guys listen to in the house, so you knew his music.
Of course, and you know, I appreciate it much more as an adult now what he did, right? Back then it was like, Mom, turn it off, you know?
Sure.
But that guy, oh my gosh, I remember the lights and the production and the sound and the way he delivered the show and the band behind him. Phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, phenomenal. And it made me want to be a rock star. I was just like, are you kidding? Like, really? How awesome is that? You know? And then, really more than just that, I didn't care so much about if I were the guy on the stage, but it was more like, listen to this massive room singing all those songs, you know? And like and they were moved by it. You know, you got the women over there like crying.
Yeah.
And then when he turns on, when he sang, what was it? Turn on your heart light or something from E.T.
Oh, yeah.
People weeping. I mean, come on. Like, he's hitting their emotions so hard. It's like, that's amazing. If you can create something that makes people feel that deep, what's cooler than that, man? I mean, that's just...
Right. And his story is such a cool story, too, because he originally had just been, like, writing a bunch of songs for people, and he was like, yes, they're just not pulling it off the way that I want it to be pulled. Like, they're not singing it the way it's supposed to be sung. Screw it. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
Like, originally, he wasn't going to be the singer. He was just going to be writing songs for people, and that's that. And he was, in his mind, I'm going to be happy with that. But then when he heard people sing it, he's like, nope, this is not right.
Well, and he had such you know, there's many singers out there. I'm probably one of them. There's many singers out there that maybe aren't technically perfect. They don't have the biggest range on the planet or anything else. But the thing about him and several others, Ozzy included, right? They're believable. When they sing, you believe them. Oh, yeah. You know, you're not going to pull off some amazing Celine run, you know, or hit, 5 octaves in a song, and that's wonderful. Not knocking talented singers. Don't get me wrong one bit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when people sing a song, I really do believe what stands out to them more than anything is listening and like having an appeal to that vocalist, which that's always going to be different what people's tastes are, but something about it connects with them. And then whatever they're singing feels correct and it's believable. When we have people in the studio and have singers, especially new singers or people that are just kind of learning how to record in a studio, they're starting out. It's like when you wrote the song, right? Read your lyrics, take it line by line and think about it. Like it obviously meant something to you when you put it down. Maybe it didn't. Maybe you're just trying to make things rhyme. I don't know. But here it is. Here's what you have, and here's this story. And now get lost in it. Take everything else out of your mind. And how are you going to relay that to someone? Like, how are you going to, here's this story, but how are you going to make someone else believe in that story? So you've got to look at it in a different way, and you've got to throw yourself or plunge yourself into it in an emotional way. And then as real as you can deliver it, if that makes sense.
Easier said
you
than
know?
done.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Like it's like the biggest trick in the game, right? Like just be yourself and just deliver it like you would. It's like, holy fuck, that's you make it sound pretty easy, but holy man, I've been in studio where it's been frustration, like, you know, holy shit, this guy can't get it or this player can't get it. Like, and it's frustrating.
You know what I do when that happens, and that does happen? Call it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe in 2 hours they might be in a better mood, but you can't tie up a studio and you can't tie up people's time if you can help it. Yeah. Or maybe, you know, you got a lunch coming up, or you can take a break and a breather or something like that. But if it's going on for a long time and you feel like you're just beating a dead horse, and you know what I mean, call it. Go home, get some rest. You know, think about this a little bit more and kind of just, you know, get in the right mindset. Let's go back and then hit it again.
Right.
You know, don't force something. I don't think you have to be a musician or some savvy listener to identify when someone wasn't in it.
No,
you know, in a performance. People may not even know what's going on.
Sorry?
People may not even understand, but it's kind of like when timing is off from a drummer. They just know something's wrong. We all have an internal clock. We all have kind of an internal tone appreciation. You know, we can identify when something's off. And non-musicians, okay, they may not know what that is. They just know it's off, right? And the same thing is true about the believability of a singer. 100%.
Right. Like how many times did Neil Diamond have to love on the rocks? You know, no, wait, let me try that again. Like, you know what I mean? Like getting into those moments, man, you got to fucking make it believable for like ever. It's on an LP. It is in, like, it's in the void. It's in the presence. Like people are going to hear that album forever.
Well, listen to the Dolly songs, the Kenny Rogers songs, the man, like who was I listening to the other day? Like Pablo Cruz and Steely Dan, and I'm listening to those singers, and I'm just like, man, you people were in it. Like you're in it.
I don't know what it is. I've always loved hearing about people's first concerts, and chances are Brion has been a part of people's first concerts as well, right? Like he's played in a few national U.S. touring bands. Mentioned Third Mist, but he was in Myriad, he was in On Tracy Lane and Breaking Down. He's played for the U.S. Troops as well. And during our conversation, we talked about football. He loves the Denver Broncos. We talked about Hawaii Five-0, like talk about a blast from the past. He shared a near-death driving story and touched on grunge and the Seattle sound movement.
It took me a while to warm up to grunge, you know, because I feel like it kind of killed my career.
Yeah, fair enough.
I remember, at least in Denver, it was March of '94, and we had just a year prior been on the show Star Search, and we ended up being semifinalists on the show Star Search, the band that I was with, Third Mist, and we were doing well. We were picking up some speed, right? And March '94, the airwaves. So Ozzy had just released a record. I forget. Probably a few months or something close to that. I'd have to look it up, but
probably like Osmosis or something like that.
Oh my gosh, here's the airwaves, right? Steelheart, Slaughter, Winger, you know, Tesla's on.
Sure. Skid Row and like Motley Crue and
Skid Row and yeah. So all these and I don't. What's funny is so many of these guys have become friends. You know, many of them live in Nashville or members of those bands, and they're part of this family out here. But it was like on that day, and I don't remember the day, but I remember the airwaves just making a hard turn, man. And it was like, okay, we've been going this way for a while, and then stop, pull the brakes. Everybody's out of rotation, and now it's just Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, all that. You know what I mean?
Dude, it was like the advent of when they started going around with Lollapalooza, and suddenly there's a cultural shift. Like it's changing the landscape of music, like almost overnight.
At least in Denver, the only people or the only person or artist I remember standing from kind of that rock era, hair rock area, and I wouldn't call him hair metal, but you know, from that kind of thing, from the rotation, was Ozzy.
Right.
And they kept playing him, but everybody else, it was awful. You know, it was awful. It just
mass exodus. Yeah, man. I remember that. Obviously not in the context of being in a band, but I do remember it in the context of being a radio DJ.
Yeah. And was it the same in Canada?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, totally.
It was overnight. Yeah.
They're like, okay, get the hair guys out of here, eh?
They're gone. Who are the next guys? Let's go. Straight up, man. It was like overnight.
You know, that would have been. Now, wait a minute. Did you guys kick off Rush too, or were you cooler with that?
Yeah, no, Rush we kept.
Yeah. They're like,
they're progressive enough. They're fine.
they're a Canadian rock band. We can't take them off.
Don't touch Rush. That'll be.
We'll lose our sponsors.
Yeah. Big time.
Right? Like, you can definitely understand why it took Brion a minute to kind of warm up to grunge. Like, suddenly hair metal is gone. It is incoming Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and there was no stopping that. It literally felt like it was the next day. And through the years, Brion, kept on. He persevered. If the music's in you, you've got to find a way to get it out, right? He has over 200 album credits to date, which is insane. 200. We got talking to him about video games, comic books as a kid, growing up to the music of Boston, the Eagles, Joe Cocker. And one of the main reasons that he was a guest this week, the fact that he is one of the singers on Mick Mars's upcoming debut solo album.
It's super psyched because today was the third single, when the video actually got released. I believe it went live to streaming a few days ago, but the video actually came out at a little after 1 p.m. Nashville time anyway. Unbelievable, man. But, I've said it to people before, and it's funny when you get to, and I was lucky with this, but when you get to work on a project where you actually really like the music, and more importantly, you really like the people that are a part of it. Yeah. And it's fun. I sound like a broken record, but the group of people that surround this thing, Mick is a given. Mick's an awesome dude, man. I mean, he's just easygoing. He's so humble. He's just a great guy to be around, So, and then who brought me into this was Paul Taylor, who's been a dear friend for over 15 years, ever since I've lived in Nashville. We've gotten pretty close, and we've done a lot of things together. But so you got Jacob Bunton, who's just amazing as well. Amazing vocalist. He does a bunch of stuff. I mean, he plays a bunch of instruments, and everything he does, he's good at. Like Paul, Ray.
Those guys say, just like, really, everything you touch is gold. Yeah. Like, really?
Yeah, exactly. I play a bunch of stuff, but I don't think it's good as any of those guys. But but you got Ray. Who's here from Korn?
Ray Korn's drummers, part of that project. Yeah, it's crazy, man. He's huge.
Gosh. And then Chris Collier, who is mixed on a ton of different stuff. He's also an awesome musician, and he plays bass on it, and then he mixed it as well. And then, of course, there's Michael Wagner. I can't say enough about Michael Wagner. He is a wonderful guy, which is cool because he did kind of the first record with Mick. Back when, and then really this, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure Mick's album was kind of the last album he did before he retired.
Toddcast Podcast musical guest visits are powered by the Hawkins Sound Ranch. Use their 20-plus years of experience to record at their state-of-the-art studio. Commercial sound on an indie budget. Visit thehawkinssoundranch.com for more.
Gene on Gene at the Rivoli on Queen. We all die cotton now. All this time, still can't dance to save my life. 3 years later, I'm surprised. She is still the Lucy to my Ricky eyes. Said I'm no Chris Hadfield, holy bull, I'm seeing stars when you orbit around me. She said you probably think you're real funny. Wait a little while, you'll be out of style with that Joni Mitchell smile. She said, do I look alright in a Canadian tuxedo tonight? Yeah, honey, you look just like a young Ivani Carter. My eyes, nothing better than denim on denim. Take me to your store, wash hair, and yeah, honey, you're driving me wild in that Canadian tuxedo tonight. Denim on denim, what could be better than denim on denim on denim? Denim on denim, what could be better than denim on denim on denim? So I said, do I look alright in a Canadian tuxedo tonight? Yeah, honey, you look just like a young Latin Marco. My eyes, nothing better than denim on denim. Take me to your store, wash hair, yeah, babe, you're driving me wild in that Canadian tuxedo. In that Canadian tuxedo. In that Canadian tuxedo tonight. Yeah, yeah, tuxedo.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
Former WWE tag team, the Bollywood Boys, were ECCW tag team champs 5 times between 2011 and 2015. They debuted in the WWE on SmackDown in April 2017, but repackaged as the Singh Brothers, and they were the managers of Jinder Mahal, who you'll know, of course, as a WWE champ. They wrestled on 205 Live, then changed back to the Bollywood Boys in October 2020. They were released from their contracts in June of 21. And when they jumped on a Zoom with us, they talked about more than wrestling, like growing up to the music of Metallica and Johnny Cash, Mark Messier winning the Stanley Cup and playing for the Vancouver Canucks. We talked about Seinfeld and Frasier, career highlights at MSG and the Air Canada Centre. They both shared a near-death story, talked about the UFC and Brock Lesnar's dominance, and stop me if you've heard this before, the boys talked about Bret Hart, one of the best wrestlers, of course, all time, without question, and how they got their start with the Hart family.
Yeah, no doubt. And even when we were about to break into the business, this is like mid-2000, and I know I'm jumping forward a little bit, but like, you know, everybody had heard of the Hart family and the Hart family dungeon. So when we were looking to break into the business, we're like, where do we go? And this is like pre-social media, you know, you had a little bit of AOL working here and there, whatnot, but but like, you know, the Hart family dungeon is where we wanted to train. And I was lucky enough to get my start there in 2004, just before they sold the house. So I was actually down there in the dungeon with Bruce Hart, Ross Hart, and right on that canvas where like guys like Jake Roberts and British Bulldogs, everybody kind of cut the teeth. So very lucky in that sense. So to my brother's point, like, and now Brett's someone that we can just text, you know, be like, hey, this is what we have. And this is
how
idea.
Crazy is that, right? Just randomly texting with Bret Hart.
Yeah, right. So it's like, he's more than just somebody we looked up to now. Now he's like a mentor / coach / friend. So we're very blessed in that sense.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com. And now, highlighting our next Blue Light Sessions, powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit CanadianClub.com today.
Under those neon lights, we found what you're looking for. Will you move out to the city thinking you'd found love? Los Angeles, well, I've been lost here once before, but compulsive in your ways. You always left with less than you came. I swear you never found love. So hold on, we'll drive into the night, put the city lights in the distance for a while. Say goodbye to the dreamers of tonight. Just forget what they'll say. Your love is just a game they'll play. I know love in LA ain't easy these days. What if love was just a test, and they were right all along? That I've seen all the wrong places, I've sung all the wrong songs. She says I miss your face. You can call me what you like. You can call me a dreamer, call me reckless, take me for a ride. We'll drive into the night, put the city lights in the distance for a while. Say goodbye to the dreamers of tonight. Just forget what they'll say. Your love is just a game they'll play.
That's a fun song. His name is Greg Drummond, and you can find that on his album called Tales of a Small Town Tour. It's called Love in LA, and I wonder if he'll end up playing that song this Friday at our next live show. So it's on Friday, March 22 at the Blue Light Studio in beautiful East Vancouver. Toddcast Podcast Blue Light Sessions with Greg Drummond and Focus Your Audio. If you've been, you know. We give both bands a 45-minute set. We interview both bands as well during the performance. You can ask questions of the band as well. You can suggest songs to play. We've had that in the past. People have done that. Intimate, interactive. If you buy early, you save some bucks right now through eventbrite.ca. $20 right now, Eventbrite, BRITE.ca. $25 if you want to risk it and wait for the door. I say risk it because I think we're like 10 tickets away from being completely sold out. Doors are at 7 o'clock, shows at 8 o'clock. Hope you can make it out. We'll probably go till about 10:15, 10:30, something like that. Played you a new song for the Vitoes. It's called Canadian Tuxedo. They just played a show at the Wise Hall in East Vancouver as well, just maybe a couple, 3 weeks back now, I guess. Should try to nail these boys down again to play at the Blue Light Studio. Rock Another Podcast show. We've played some shows in the past. Good dudes, good players. I couldn't make their last show. I can't remember what it was. They even threw me on the guest list, but I think it was the same night as my kids' hockey. And you know how that goes. All right, coming up in just a few minutes in Listen to This, Penthouse Pet, Carolina White talks about vacationing and just shutting off social media. Oh, is the best. Is it not the best? That is powered by 8-year sponsor, Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. RV service, repairs, ICBC accredited. You can find them through Tedco RV Supplies. They're also kicking around on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. First, let's get to the second of 3 Toddcast guests this week. Our sporting guest is model and race car driver Kristen Strout. That is powered by Hand Over Hand Textiles in Vancouver. Naturally dyed goods for your home, for your body. It is beauty clothes. The website is fantastic. Bandanas and socks and shirts and dishcloths and scarves and pillowcases and pretty much whatever you want. You'll love their work. Top notch. And they only use pure plant extracts, natural fibers. So it's actually good for Mom Earth. Not a bad thing. Locally owned? Check. Locally operated? Indeed. Find them through Hand Over Hand Textiles. They're also on Instagram. So Kristen's everyday driver is an Infiniti G37, which is a nice car. It is beauty. As you would expect, she says, yeah, I got a bit of a heavy right foot. Kind of hard not to have that when you're used to driving a race car. It's great to get Kristen on the podcast, and interestingly, to get her take on social media, because keeping that side of the business going is definitely, well, you need to do it, but it's kind of annoying at the same time. She talked about going to rock shows like Seether, Evanescence, 3 Days Grace. Kristen's got her fingers in a lot of pies. She is in real estate, flips houses, and of course you'll know her from modeling as well.
It's funny, like I said, I've always been like a tomboy, never really did the whole like modeling thing, but I will say I played beach volleyball, and kind of what started everything is you can't hide boobs in a bikini. So I was very self-conscious about not having boobs, so I got my boobs done. Then I have to say, like, that's kind of what started everything. I was at this like superboat race, like event, just like attending, and they're like, oh, we're doing a bikini contest, and like winner gets $1,500 or something, and we're paying out top 5, like, and I was like, okay, I got boobs now or whatever. I'm like, I was playing sports, I was in shape. I played in the lingerie football league.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But anyway, so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I get backstage and there's like 50 girls signed up. And I'm like, oh God, what did I sign myself up for? They're all like in these gorgeous blingy bikinis, like their hair and makeup is like perfect. And I'm like, oh God, what did I do? And I'm like, I'm not going to lie, I had to like drink some drinks to get the confidence to get on that stage.
A little bit of liquid courage.
Yes. And so I do their little walk and whatever. And they call out top 5. I made top 5 and I'm like, okay. And then they like announced the top 3 and I ended up winning the whole thing. And I was like, I was like, maybe I'm pretty. Like, so then I started just doing like bikini contests. So that's kind of how my modeling stuff, because it was really cool. I just started finding them and they'd be like $1,000 to first, or like paying out a bunch of money to top five. So
that's great.
And I pretty much got like at least top 3, like in almost all of them, like as I was traveling. And they were always at cool events too. Like a lot of them would be at car shows, motorcycle shows, like Bike Week. One like Daytona Bike Week or Biketoberfest, I cleaned up. I just rode my motorcycle from contest to contest to contest. And I think me having my bike was a little bit of a edge, because I show up on a motorcycle at a motorcycle event. I think I made like over 10 grand in like 2 days, one weekend at Bike Week, just from going from contest to contest to contest. So I was like, this is cool. But so then the more events, then that's how I got into the promo modeling, is companies, like vendors and stuff that were at the events would like try to talk to you, get you to do promo modeling for them. So then it led to promo modeling. Then that led to like doing more photo shoots, and then started social media with that. And then it just kind of
blew up,
took off from there. Yeah.
You know, I think the full talk with Kristen is about 40 minutes long, again, through iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Megaphone, Apple Podcasts, all the usual suspects. As mentioned earlier on, we're also on YouTube, kind of focused on growing that account right now. So if you haven't already, please subscribe and follow along. So adrenaline and racing kind of go hand in hand, right? And Kristen really talked about that synergy and how there's a bit of a sense of zen almost falls on her before racing. She talks about being involved with Motor Mia, which is an automotive tech startup, and she's hoping to break that. She mentioned having played in the LFL. Remember the Lingerie Football League?
So it's funny because I never even heard about it or knew about it. I was just throwing a football with some friends like on the beach in Florida. And some guys were like, dude, you have like an awesome arm. Like, do you know, like they're doing tryouts for the Lingerie Football League? And I'm like, what? I had played like flag football with a group of my guy friends before, but like never really watched or played.
Serious or anything?
I played volleyball and basketball in high school and college. But so they were like, oh, we're doing tryouts. There's literally like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of girls at these tryouts. And I was like, I don't even know football. Like, this is crazy. They kept doing cuts and I kept making it. And I'm like, okay. Like, and so then I made the team. And it's funny because I'm small. Like, people see like your social media and then they see me in person and they're like, oh my God, you're so little. Like, I'm 5'2.5", like 103 pounds. So it's so funny when they're like, you play in the Lingerie Football League? Like, it's full contact tackle football. Like,
yeah, I know. What position did you play?
I played safety and cornerback.
Okay.
Yeah. But my quarterback, it was funny because she's like, I wish you were taller because you have the best hands I've ever seen. Like, I would catch anything she like threw, like when we were in practice and whatever. But like, obviously with my height, like being a wide receiver is going to be difficult playing against like those like 5'10" girls, you know, that are fast.
Yeah. Always wondered how that Lingerie Football League wasn't bigger than what it was, what it became. You would think that there would be some sort of an audience for such a spectacle or sport. Did I say spectacle? We got talking about a lot of stuff with Kristen. She lives in Nashville, so we talked about their scene, what their nightlife is like. She was born and grew up on naval bases, which I thought was kind of interesting. You'd find it interesting as well. So we touched on that. We talked about rock and country, how country is almost rock at this point. She shared a near-death motorcycle story and what or who got her into racing cars.
I never even knew that was a thing. You know, I kind of just grew up in small little kind of town. Your basic choices in life were like, oh, doctor, teacher, engineer, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then I got into the promotional modeling like kind of industry and got to be like an umbrella girl for a race team. And then I got my Corvette before that. So I always just liked to go fast, but I never did any like road courses, just like dumb street racing stuff as a kid.
Yeah.
But I got the opportunity. I was like, I just want to like go on a hot lap, like take me with you. And I was like, okay. So the pro driver took me around the track and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I was like, I did not know cars could go like this fast around turns. Like, this is crazy. I was like, I want to drive.
Nice.
And they were like, yes. So then they actually, it wasn't the first time I did the hot lap that I got the opportunity to drive, but they were like, oh, we're doing a little HPD track day. Like, we'll rent you a car and we'll have the pro driver kind of like coach you.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so cool. So I'm like, I drive and he's just telling me kind of like what to do and all this stuff. And he was like, holy crap. He's like, you're actually like you got a natural talent. Like, you're just already kind of know what to do. You're not scared. Like, so then they were like, I think you really should like pursue this. So I was like, really? I was like, I think they're just being nice to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
So no, they were awesome. They helped me kind of numerous track days, racing school, got all that stuff done. But then unfortunately the team owner passed away. So all of that funding and everything was gone because I couldn't afford to do that stuff on my own.
Racing's expensive, right? Like big time.
And then I was like, oh, I'm going to track my own car to make it affordable. And then that ended up costing a ton because it's like my rotors were all warped. I had to redo my brakes, rotors, and then tires and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, and then, just long story short, it messed up my car quite a bit. And I was like, okay, I'm never tracking my car again.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
Just might surprise yourself. Yes, you've been hypnotized all this time. Recognize that none of this blame it lies with yourself. You need to rectify it. Don't have the time that it takes. You just come to see what you want to see. Start burning has brought me here again. Isolation has become my friend. Every single day's the same. I can't seem to explain it. No. I think that I'm original, but I'm not. Everything has been taught to me. Show me something real. We've just come to see what we want to see.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
Penthouse pet Carolina White has been modeling since her teens, but it wasn't until recently that she decided to model naked. She considers herself a jack of all trades, and you kind of have to agree. She's a licensed phlebotomist, has managed a med spa, has worked as a veterinarian surgical tech, and when Carolina was a guest, we learned that she's big into Marvel Comics, especially Captain America. She talked about the shows that she was binge watching at the time, how she wrote erotic fiction in her teens, and that Blink-182 was her first concert. We talked about how OnlyFans is making women rich AF. She talked about Vegas, COVID, and living in the Carolinas. She shared a near-death story. Talked about looking up to Cindy Crawford. The Walking Dead came up and how she had a fling with one of the actors. And Carolina talked about vacationing in Cabo San Lucas and North Carolina. And the best thing about it all, turning off social media. Listen to this.
Last place I went on vacation, I was sad because it was like 2 years ago, right before COVID. I think it was 2019. It was for my birthday. I went with a group of friends. We went to Los Cabos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we stayed at an all-inclusive resort. Big fan of those.
Yeah.
It was absolutely beautiful and amazing, and it feels like forever ago because
it has been forever ago.
Exactly. Yeah. So going out of the country, that was the last time, and then, but the last vacation I went on was my birthday back in August. I went with my parents. We went to the Natahala in North Carolina, and we stayed in a cabin. Just beautiful, woodsy, streams and nature, and just getting away from everything. Yeah, like no service. I don't know. It was just like everybody needs time like that away from just everything. Turn your fucking phone off and just
turn it off.
Turn it off. Stop. None of it matters.
Right.
All the stuff that you're worried about, that's all in your head. None of it matters.
Totally. You'll notice that when you turn it off and when you come back to it a day or two later, nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. And you're also probably going to feel happier.
Feel better.
You're going to feel better. You're going to have less anxiety. You're going to feel less depressed. You're just going to be overall better.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
Red Truck Beer, delivered fresh, the official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
That's when I got strong, won't let it go, not gonna give up, I'm gonna break through, ready to go. I won't let the waves come take me down, hold on to the flame that won't go out. Oh love, take the reins and sail out. Darkness up ahead, but I'm stormproof, baby. Enough to make me wanna stay. Sick of feeling sick and tired, begging to fade away. And that's when I woke up, that's when I got strong, won't let it go, not gonna give up, I'm gonna break through, ready to blow.
that's one of the things that gets me about Vancouver and living here, and people, there's nothing ever happening in our city. It's like, nah, actually there are things happening. You just got to look around, or I guess know where to go. That band is called So Romeo, and a relatively new song for them. It's called Stormproof. If you're in Vancouver this weekend, you are in luck. So it's on Saturday night. They're playing at the Cobalt. Saturday, March 23, So Romeo with We Arda. And I think I'm pronouncing that band's name wrong. Sorry about that if I am. 20 bones to get in the doors. Doors are at 7 o'clock. Played you a new song for Matt Storm, and that's called Apologize. Now, Matt's one of those guys, recently played in Vancouver, but I think he's one of those guys that doesn't necessarily kill his momentum by playing too many local shows, right? I've never understood that. Right? Like when a local band, any big city, especially big cities like Vancouver, play every 3 to 4 weeks kind of thing, and you talk to them, we're just building a local following. It's like, well, too many shows is just that. It's just too many shows. You don't want people to think and say, I'll catch you next time. Because they know another show is coming next month, and they'll just keep pushing it off. Like, play 2 or 3 shows a year, and suddenly there's that urgency with your friends and your followers to see the show, right? Anyway, I'm off on a tangent now. My point is, Matt Storm doesn't play a ton of shows, but if you hear him playing anywhere near you, make the effort to be there. He's fantastic. Played a podcast show with Ivan Hartle last year, and it was simply incredible. Speaking of live music, find a small list of shows that are happening locally here in Vancouver and the area. Not just our shows, but shows we think you should go check out with the indie scene at toddhancock.ca. If you're playing a show, if you're going to it, if it's indie, let me know about it. I'll post it up, get the info up on our website. Free advertising, why not? Hell, maybe even play some of your music on the podcast. But that, of course, would mean that you'd need to get me your music, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay, our final guest of this episode 327 is health and wellness expert, a CHN practicing CBT, Aeryon Ashlie, this week's entertainment lifestyle guest. Powered as always by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis and psilocybin dispensary. The beauty is, if you're listening in Canada, indeed, they will ship anywhere in our country. You can get oils, hash, all kinds of edibles, peyote, DMT, vapes, lollipop, shatter, bath bombs. I mean, the list is insane. I'm scratching the surface here. At registry, don't forget, mention you heard about them through this podcast. It will instantly upgrade your profile, open up points on their website that aren't open to normal people. All right? So sacredmeds.com. And when you really get down to it, health and wellness are the cornerstones of a fulfilling life, especially as you get older. You start to realize it. You start to prioritize that, realizing that it will bring you happiness. And that's everything from a balanced nutrition, regular exercise. It's essentially self-care is what you're getting at. And Aeryon Ashlie, I mean, she gets it. She is a grinder. Holy hell, you see it on her social media accounts. But talk to her, and you really get a feeling of just how much goes into what she is doing. Check out aeronwellness.com. That's AERYON, aeronwellness.com. Right on the homepage, she writes, transform your health, and then caps locked, empower yourself. Like, no doubt. Talked in depth with Aeryon about all things health and wellness, of course. But we get into other parts of her life as well, like the Canucks, the Raptors, Taylor Swift and her crazy influence, like the Super Bowl, how many more people watched it because of Taylor Swift, wanting to be famous as a little teenager. And you'll love this. Aeryon talked about getting on Dragon's Den and getting offered 3 offers.
It has been really, I mean, the big thing with Aeryon Wellness, and this is how we, this is the huge differentiating factor and got me on Dragon's Den in 2022. And I walked away with 3 offers. And what that was is we have a program with every product. So when you scan that QR code on the label, it takes you to 2 meal plans, workouts, videos, affirmations, education, and that all comes from the 5 pillars, right? So I'm not saying I don't have a magic pill. I wish I did. But what it is doing, it is giving the consumer the support they need to make the habit changes to have sustainable health and wellness. What this also does too is for the consumer, for the retailers, if they're busy in store or if they have new staff, because a lot of the time it's transient, you got like kids coming in or people working, they can scan it and watch the video. Every product has a 60-second video where Cole's notes tell you exactly what this product does. It's lowered our return rate for one thing, because people know what they're buying, right? Yeah. And then also we've just had incredible success with people who actually scan the QR code, use the recipes, do the workouts, really learn about whatever issue they're buying in, like they're buying the product to help them alleviate. So they're like, oh, okay, hormonal health. Oh, and we have a thing on perimenopause and PMS. And then we go into the 4 cycles of a woman's cycle. Then we go into, like, we just have so much content in there to help educate the consumer. So that's a really a huge differentiating factor. That's what got me on Dragon's Den, because I'm the only one doing something like that.
And 3 offers. That's insane.
Yeah. I said yes to Arlene. I knew I wasn't going to take the offer anyways. I was never going to give anybody part of my company. Yeah. I'm 100% bootstrapped and I own it all. And eventually I will, obviously need to have maybe possibly somebody come in, outside investment eventually. I'd rather not. I'd rather keep it in myself as much as I can. That's where the true value is, I think. But we had some great conversations. I talked with her for over a year. So before you go on the show, I mean, you could tell them you're making $20 million a year. They don't do any due diligence before the show. It's after the show, when you meet with your dragon, that then they start doing due diligence. And I wanted them to come back and give me the offer, because they could come back and see that everything doesn't add up and be like, oh, your company's not doing this. We're not offering you. So December, we filmed in May. December, they came through, they offered me everything. And I said, no, thank you very much. I just wanted to kind of get through it all. And I also wanted to see how she went about it. I had several meetings with her. She's lovely. I have the utmost respect for her, because I know when I get to a certain point, I really want to work with female entrepreneurs as well. Mm-hmm. And I already do. I do a lot of mentorship, but I'd like to be able to invest in somebody else and not be the person that's like slugging away in the field.
Yeah, fair enough. Right?
So
can't bust your ass all the time.
Right. I can just like watch and support and, watch my money grow.
If you've ever watched Dragon's Den, you know how hard it is to get one offer, let alone 3 offers. And for her to turn it down too, right? Like, so crazy. I guess it just goes to show you, believe in your potential and challenge yourself. Trust yourself. Celebrate the wins too, no matter how small it is. Like she says, empower yourself. I've wrapped up these podcasts the same way since podcast number 1. Have fun, play hard, most of all, believe in yourself. It is amazing, the power of self-belief. Some people say fake it till you make it, whatever you want to call it. Believe and embrace your potential. The full talk with Aeryon is close to 40 minutes long. It's up now on social media through Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Megaphone, SoundCloud. You can see the interview, of course, at our Toddcast YouTube page. Loved hearing Aeryon talk about navigating Toronto as a 14-year-old. When she finds time, binging Love is Blind with her kid. We got heavily into health and wellness, of course, and supplements, and how she got past her eating disorder.
Let's see. So I had my kind of aha moment. I think it was about 12 years ago, right? And that was really the catalyst. I'd been in the supplement industry for 20 years. And I had been a holistic nutritionist. I worked with women. I was really good at giving advice, not so good sometimes at taking it myself. Mm-hmm. And I had started at like 14. My parents put me in Weight Watchers at 13. I was a really big kid. I was homeschooled because I was teased so much. My mom now, in retrospect, looks back and she's just mortified with the whole Weight Watchers thing. But she was like trying to help me. And she thought, well, this will be great.
Sure.
And so I kind of had my aha moment about 12 years ago where I went to purge and my daughter knocked on the door. And so when I kind of caught myself and I was like, holy shit, and she would have been about 2 or 3. And I saw myself in the mirror. I was like, if I don't get a grip on this is going to be her. She's going to have the same food issues I have because she's going to watch me and not necessarily know what I'm doing, but watching this binging mentality with food and this lack of control and this lack of being able to enjoy food and then put it down, right? And having a healthy relationship with it. And so that's when I really began peeling back the layers. And my mom was a counselor at the time, so I worked with her. I changed the way I took certain foods out of my house, like trigger foods. It's just like an alcoholic, right? You don't have alcohol in your house. I didn't have cake batter. I didn't have certain things that I always loved that would trigger me for a binge. It was usually always carbohydrate rich foods. I took those out for a long time. And I worked through it took me a couple of years. And then that's when I came up with my 5 pillars as well. Right. So it's not just because it's really, the thoughts you think. Cognitive behavioral therapy was a really big part of my healing. And that's the thoughts you think. So if I'm constantly thinking in a negative state of mind when it comes to food, or if I'm, if I have this, I don't deserve it, I like this narrative that will end up spinning, I have to be able to catch that. And I heard a really great quote the other day, and I absolutely love it. She said, I can't control the first thought I have, but I can control the second. Right? Because our mind has 90,000 thoughts a day. Our mind comes to us. 70,000, they say, are the exact same thought from the day before. When you actually, now today, you're going to be like, holy shit, I am thinking the same thing over and over again. Right? So, and they say like 80% of those are negative, like negative thoughts about ourselves. Right? So I love that where it's like the first thought is like, because your mind's just constantly popping stuff. You can't control that one, but you can either choose to dwell on it and continue doing this, or be like, no, that's not what I'm choosing. This is what I'm choosing. And I knew. And that's what I had to really do when it came to my eating disorders, constantly shift like a muscle, like working out.
It's crazy when you think about it. Aeryon fought an eating disorder for 25 years. Stop and think about breaking the habit and the unhealthy relationship with food. Most people who struggle like that have a distorted self-image, and they think about food way too much and their weight. And so to take the steps to recover must have been a crazy, crazy journey. You, of course, would need to lean on your friends and your family. You'd need them to be there for you, right? And kind of get the support from your network, and maybe even see a therapist at that point. But most of all, I think what it is, it really boils down to self-compassion, right? Just don't be too hard on yourself. People are really, really hard on themselves. As we always do, we went further than what our guests are known for. Aeryon talked about being on Pulse 107 FM here in Vancouver. She did a radio feature, which is one of the main reasons I actually know of Aeryon. She talked about growing up in a super Christian household. Those are her words, in a super Christian household. She shared a near-death story about being held at gunpoint and practically kidnapped. It's an insane story. And she talked about seeing her first concert at 14 years old.
Madonna in Toronto, and that was the Vogue Ambition Tour concert. When I think that was the highlight to me, that was one of her highest points when she... Sure. My aunt called me and said, I bought you a ticket. Would you like to come to Madonna? I'd never been to Toronto. I'd always been a really bigger girl. I remember walking down Yonge Street for the very first time with her, and a guy looked at me and he said something like, hey, beautiful. And I was like, because he was talking to me, I'd never had that before. And I looked at my aunt, I said, I'm going to move here one day. And then I moved there 5 years later.
Wow. How old were you for that? Because like Madonna, I'm just thinking 14. About that Like a Prayer video, and like that pushed some buttons with the church.
It did. Well, I did. And just her Vogue. I mean, like I can still vote.
Like everything about her, I guess, kind of push buttons.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, she was actually just in town, and I actually didn't even realize it. I went to her concert here a couple of years ago, and it wasn't the same. I just didn't, it wasn't the same thing anymore. But yeah, it was a fantastic concert. I remember I had to go by myself because my aunt had 2 tickets, but we couldn't go the same day. So I had to navigate, and I was 14. I had to navigate, taking the streetcars, getting to it by myself, and all of that, which was a really great experience. I was always very independent to a certain degree, even though I was kind of sheltered. And the same thing I've done for my daughter. She's very independent as well.
Entertainment guest visits are powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis and psilocybin dispensary. Visit sacredmeds.com.
We didn't see in the clouds coming straight our way, bringing a rain that loosens all the stems in its way. We lived in silence for days, no contest. We let a sharp wind tear our seams to shreds. Why are you over there? When I'm over here,
Focus Your Audio, and I love that one. It's called Over There. So coming this Friday, you'll likely see that one live at the Blue Light Studio. They're opening up the night for Greg Drummond at our next live show. So it's this Friday, March 22nd at Blue Light Session. If you can make it out to the show, both bands have a 45-minute set. I will be interviewing them during the performance, very much like Much Music's intimate and interactive, if you remember that back in the day. So it's the first maybe 15, 20 minutes. We'll do the interview, and then we kind of just set them free to finish up the set. And it's only $20 right now through eventbrite.ca. All of our shows through eventbrite.ca. $25 if you want to wait for the door. Doors are at 7 o'clock. Show starts at 8. We'll do that till around 10:15, 10:30, something like that. Really looking forward to next week. You will hear parts of our chat with retired Canucks goaltender Corey Hirsch. Here he talks about his 95 season with the team and actually having more wins than Kirk McLean that year.
Yeah. Kirk was he had a bit of a tough year, But here's the interesting thing. Like I was, this is the thing about mental health is that you'd have never known. Like I was every day was a struggle to get to the rink. But on the ice, I played well. It was kind of my sanctuary. It was my place that I kind of was my safe space. And I played pretty well. That's what the message that I get out to people out there is like, I was not well, and I still made the NHL. So, when you're out there telling people that they're weak because they have mental health issues, I'm going to smack you in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Makes there's no mentally weak. Some of the mentally strongest people I know are the people that suffer the most.
Well, the ones that smile through are the ones that are generally the ones that are, hiding something,
Yeah, those are the ones that scare me a little bit, right? The ones you can't tell.
Of course, Corey is well known for being an advocate of mental health awareness, and he'll be on the podcast next week. Joining Corey Hirsch is Gob drummer Gabe Mantle. He jumped to Zoom with us recently, and so did Thrive Management owner and operator Sasha Ali, who is a longtime friend of the podcast. In fact, going back to my days at CFox as their afternoon host, Sasha would come down to the station and co-host from time to time. She is super fun. Of course, huge thanks to all of this week's guests as well. Brion Gamboa, dude, really good to meet you. How incredible that you're one of the singers on Mick Mars's solo album. Like what? Talk about a mind blower. If you're ever up in my neck of the woods, hit me up. Night out on the podcast. Model and race car driver Kristen Strout, thank you for your time. Love your presence on social media. Really cool to get to know you a little bit, and cheers for now. I'm sure we'll keep in touch. And health expert Aaron Ashlie, like I said, you are a freaking superhero. Thank you so much for jumping a Zoom and sharing your story. Super inspirational, and I am down to shoot the shit with you anytime. And with that, let's wrap this week up, episode 327. Again, my name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening, for being there, for engaging with us online, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever it is. That's what it's all about, right? Like, that's why we do what we do. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends about what we're doing. We are part of the Realm.fm network. They're based out of New York City, worldwide distribution, and super thankful for that. You can subscribe again on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, YouTube. Comment, of course, and rate the podcast. That helps out. Search it out through Toddcast Podcast. An abundance of thanks to all of our excellent sponsors. Many of them have been with us for 3, 4, even 8 years. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca. If you would like to sponsor the podcast with your business, you can for as little as $10 a day. Contact info is at the homepage. Shoot me a message. We'll see if we can help each other out. All right. And help us find a sponsor. We'll give you a commission. It's simple as that. Till next time, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast Podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Talmor, Sheshin Marachi. Talmor is my home. I'm here for a My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Burntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I uncover the blasphemous truth of a plague-ridden world, that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The Heresies of Radolf Burntwine, coming January 2nd, wherever podcasts are available.